2019 is packed with great games coming up. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRanks, the top 25 upcoming games of the second half of 2019. Coming in at number 25 is Greedfall. Greedfall is an action RPG that takes place in what I'm going to go ahead and say is a pretty original setting. It's a 17th century fantasy setting, more or less. Colonists land on an island that is, well, magical in a way you don't typically see in this type of a setting. You're not just out to conquer, though. There's a disease that the colonists are searching for a cure to, at least that's what the trailer indicates. And honestly, I think it looks really promising. It's different. It's asking you to choose who you side with, whether it be the native elves or the humans colonizing the land. Greedfall is coming to Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One on September 10th. Coming in at number 24, Luigi's Mansion 3. If you're unfamiliar with the previous Luigi's Mansion games, the first came out on GameCube a very long time ago, way back in 2001. The second was a sequel created specifically for the Year of Luigi, back in 2013, and we're finally seeing a third, which is significantly upgraded from the previous ones. Of course, the Switch is way more powerful than the 3DS, and follows the same idea more or less. Luigi is in a haunted mansion with a vacuum cleaner, and it's 2019 and I can't wait to see what Nintendo comes up with for that. The first two games are great. I love Luigi's Mansion and I just cannot wait to jump back into it. It has the perfect release date too. Luigi's Mansion 3 is coming to Switch on Halloween. Number 23 is Daemon X Machina, and it is a highly stylized, fast-paced, action third-person mech shooter. This is one I'm really excited about because it looks completely wild. You make a custom player character, you drive a mech, and you battle with other mechs. Now that's a very basic explanation, however, paired with the visuals, I'm there. You don't even need to say anything else to me. However, apparently there's some cool systems in place like scavenging body parts and weapons, and a 4-player cooperative multiplayer, which I'm very there for considering this is a Nintendo Switch game. Daemon X Machina is exclusive to Switch and it's hitting on September 13th. Number 22 is the Medieval remake. If you remember the original way back in 1998, it's basically an action-adventure hack and slash that is heavily influenced by the visuals of The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's one of those games where the game is actually really good, but the visuals didn't age as well as a lot of titles from that era did. And I would say it's in part because they were going for a specific look that wasn't really possible with technology at the time. However, remembering that's kind of the point of the remake, the new version of Medieval will be coming to us in 4K with very detailed character models that I think actually achieves what it was trying to do. It's very cool looking, and I cannot wait to play through this game once again. The Medieval remake is exclusive to PlayStation 4 and is coming on October 25th. Coming in at number 21, Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey, which is a third-person survival game where you start as an ape and literally evolve into a human, in theory. More or less, you control an ape clan, the ape clan needs to survive, and you need to help it survive as the clan grows and evolves. You'll be able to play different roles in the Ape Clan, and honestly, it's a very different approach to a survival game in my eyes. It's also made by the Assassin's Creed creator, who left Ubisoft and created his own studio. Ancestors appears to be the fruits of that labor. It's coming to PC on August 27th. Coming in at number 20 is Shenmue 3. I'm somebody who played the first two Shenmues when they came out. I can tell you that gaming has grown immensely since these games, and while they are a massive influence, I am excited to see exactly what they do. Now, you could say that Shenmue is basically the precursor to Yakuza, and I think in some respects Shenmue 3 is going to resemble Yakuza a little bit more, on account they've talked about modernizing certain elements of it. Shenmue was very boring at times, but it was because you actually had to pass all of the time every day. And in some respects that was actually really cool. And I tried to go back to it earlier this year to prepare for Shenmue 3 coming out, and it is a labor of love to go through that game. I'm very interested to see the contrast between Shenmue 3 and previous Shenmue titles. It's coming to PC and PS4 on November 19th. Coming in at number 19, Wolfenstein Youngblood, a co-op Wolfenstein game set in the 1980s, Nazis still occupying everything, world still a dystopia. Honestly, looks really good. I'm excited for this game, and I have been for a while. They announced it a while back, and it's kind of been a waiting game, because it does look like a different take on the series, and I'm interested to see where that goes. Wolfenstein Youngblood is hitting PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on July 26th. Coming in at number 18, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is a remake of the old Game Boy title. And a hell of a Zelda game that is. However, it is of course a Game Boy title. There's not really a lot of ways to play a Game Boy title, and Game Boy games are two-color anyway. This is a good solution as far as I'm concerned. I really think this looks cool. I love the art style they've picked, and I'm really excited to go through the game again. Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is exclusively hitting Switch, of course, September 20th. Number 17 is Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3: The Black Order, which comes to us from Team Ninja, and is the first exclusive Nintendo title in this series. If you're not familiar, the previous two games are action RPGs with 4-player co-op. I imagine this will translate well on the Nintendo Switch, and honestly, I like Team Ninja and I'm interested in what they do with this series. Nintendo is publishing the game, so it is an exclusive for the Switch, and it's coming July 19th. Coming in at number 16 is Fire Emblem Three Houses, the first new mainline Fire Emblem to hit a full console, but the full console is also the handheld console, so it seems like an obvious move. For those unfamiliar, Fire Emblem is a tactical role-playing game series. Interestingly enough, this game looks more like Fire Emblem than you would expect, and it really ramped up the graphics given the move to a more powerful piece of hardware. The plot this time around involves an Academy of Magic, and I'm sure that's going to cause a ton of Harry Potter comparisons, but that being said, I'm looking forward to it when it hits Switch exclusively on July 26th. Coming in at number 15, World of Warcraft Classic, which is more or less a reset to the year 2006 in the World of Warcraft. In 2006, the game had been around a short while. It had developed a little bit, but not a lot, and it was relatively much better as far as bugs go. However, it was also World of Warcraft in 2006, and for certain people, that holds a lot of charm. A return to vanilla WoW is going to be a big thing for at least a few, because in those days the game encouraged a lot more co-op. It was a little more community oriented in that way too, and it will be interesting to see exactly how people react to it. World of Warcraft Classic is hitting PC on August 27th. Coming in at number 14, Astral Chain, the newest Platinum Games game, led by the lead designer for Nier Automata, and it shows. The footage we see here very much reminds me of Nier Automata, which doesn't bother me at all. The game concerns an invasion by a living weapon called the Legion, and it looks like a typical, very high-style Platinum Games affair, albeit with a slightly new, clearly post-Nier Automata aesthetic. In fact, if you take that game and add a whole lot of neon color, you wouldn't be far off from what this looks like. In that respect, I am quite excited. Astral Chain is hitting Switch on August 30th. Coming in at number 13 is Control, the latest game from Remedy Entertainment, which definitely looks like the next in a line of their products. First, it uses the same engine as Quantum Break. Second, a lot of Quantum Break seems apparent in its DNA. However, Control seems to take place in a very interesting setting called the Oldest House, a huge, featureless skyscraper in New York City, referred to as a place of power in-game. It's apparently also built like a Metroidvania, and for me, the idea of a Remedy game combined with a Metroidvania sounds quite interesting. There's obviously a supernatural element of it, and there are some elements where they even say you might be in charge of building the story yourself, although I've heard less of that recently. Control is hitting PC, PS4, and Xbox One August 27th. Coming in at number 12, The Surge 2 looks like a proper follow-up to The Surge, expanding on some of the things that make The Surge cool. The developers have noted that they've ramped up on what I'm going to call surginess, as well as the ability to create your own character, and a much wider variety in combat options. The Surge 2 is supposed to take place in a much more vertical fashion, and I think that that's going to work out well because in some respects I think that it's quite a bit more suited to that than your typical Soulsborne game. I'm excited to see how that works out when The Surge 2 hits PC, PS4, and Xbox One on September 24th. Coming in at number 11, it's Grid, the fourth game in the Grid series. This rebooted Grid looks like it's going to be attempting to find a balance between arcade and simulation type racing, as well as provide a lot of choice-based stuff involving risk and reward, and they're particularly touting a damage model that will realistically impact the races, and also apparently give you a wide range of cars to choose from. It looks like an interesting game. Previous Grid games were pretty damn good, so I'm interested to see where they go. It looks amazing, so I want to see how the game holds up. Grid is hitting PC, PS4, and Xbox One on October 11th. Coming in at number 10, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which is set in a big open world, fictional island on the Pacific Ocean called Aurora, and brings us all of the same tactical shooter base level game ideas, and is set 4 years after the events of Wildlands in 2023. It's actually a fairly interesting story in which a billionaire philanthropist technology is apparently falling into the hands of bad people, and he owns an island and cut himself off from the rest of the world. Honestly, I think there's a lot of interesting places you could go with that, and I hope that they go to at least a few of them when Ghost Recon Breakpoint hits PC, PS4, and Xbox One on October 4th. Number 9 is the Dark Pictures Man of Medan, Supermassive Games' foray into multi-platform development in which they intend to create a large sort of cinematic universe for their games, Man of Medan being the first. Now, it looks to be taking a large amount of the approach of Until Dawn, which is a good thing because Until Dawn is a great game. Ultimately, the game is about a crew of people caught on a cursed ghost ship having to deal with its captain. Knowing that as the setting for an Until Dawn style game, I think should work pretty well, and I'm excited to see that. The Dark Pictures Man of Medan hits PC, PS4, and Xbox One on August 30th. Coming in at number 8, Call of Duty Modern Warfare is a soft reboot to the Modern Warfare series, intended to take place in a quote-unquote realistic and modern setting. Now, the intent is to provide moral choices that are not only, obvious moral choices, but also tactical oriented, and rely on perhaps more difficult, troubling moments in its plot. A lot of the preview stuff has been compared to No Russian from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and honestly, I think that's very interesting. It's also going to be the first Modern Warfare game with cross-platform multiplayer, and I think everybody's looking forward to at least one of the elements I've mentioned here. I've got my fingers crossed. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is coming to Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One on October 25th. Number 7 is The Outer Worlds, Obsidian's new game that looks like it's going to give us the Fallout we wished that we got, with a slightly different premise. Of course, it takes place in space, and there's way more color. It also has nothing to do with Bethesda, so they haven't marred it by using their engine again. It's an Unreal game, and honestly, I'm really excited for this game. It's probably not going to be a one-to-one Fallout game per se, but it looks to be capturing the feeling of what everyone loves so much about New Vegas. And I'm there. I'm really, really there. The Outer Worlds is coming to PlayStation 4, Microsoft Windows, and Xbox One on October 25th. Number 6 is Gears 5, which although is the first game in the series not to say Gears of War, I think we all know that it's Gears of War 5. It focuses more on Kate Diaz, which, let's be honest, the first in this new trilogy of Gears games, pretty much did the same, although the entire cast is pretty much back, and although in the previous game, it functioned kind of like Mad Max, in which you were there for Kate Diaz's story, you're now Kate Diaz, and I think it's going to work out well. The first had some growing pains, but I think the second is going to develop the story because it actually starts to deal with her origins, and that's a big chunk of the story, and I'm interested in that. Gears 5 is coming to PC and Xbox One September 10th. Coming in at number 5 is Doom Eternal, the sequel to the highly successful 2016 reboot of Doom, and in a lot of ways looks to continue on that path. Everything looks bigger, everything looks much more apocalyptic, and there's a shotgun with a grappling hook. I repeat, there is a shotgun with a grappling hook. I'm sold, period. You don't need to tell me even anything else. That's all I need to know. It's more Doom. And Doom Eternal is coming to PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on November 22nd. Coming in at number 4 is Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. How can you not be excited for these? They're two completely new full Pokemon games, and I'm quite excited to get into them. Now, what's shocking is these are actually the first Pokemon games that look like this. I mean, full Pokemon games. it really looks like a hell of a lot of fun. Of course, they're core Pokemon games, so we know what to expect gameplay-wise, but it's really cool to see all of these different elements expressed visually, and I'm very excited for that. Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield are coming to Switch November 15th. Coming in at number 3, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, a game that looks very much like it could be very, very good. However, in the gameplay demo we've seen, we do have to address the fact that some elements of it are maybe a little repetitive. Now, it could be very much that they tried intently to not give us any big experiences, any big giveaways, and in a lot of respects, the gameplay itself looks like it is arranged, executed, and controls quite well, and I'm also quite excited for the story it intends on telling, so basically I have high hopes. I am tempering them just a bit gameplay-wise, but I'm excited story-wise. The lightsaber play looks like it could end up being very fun, and in some ways it looks like a more measured version of Force Unleashed. I hope that's the case. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is coming to PC, PS4, and Xbox One on November 15th. Coming in at number 2, Borderlands 3. That's right, the third Borderlands. A game that looks like it builds significantly on previous titles. It is, of course, a loot-driven first-person shooter, but it looks significantly larger this time around with a much more detailed graphic style that doesn't look out of place or like it has changed anything, but it does look like a big upgrade. Also, something I'm particularly happy with the addition of is the crouch sliding, which is influenced by Titanfall or Apex Legends. And to see where Borderlands goes from there, I think should be interesting. Borderlands 3 is hitting PC, PS4, and Xbox One on September 13th. And finally, coming in at number 1, it's Death Stranding. Now, this is going to be the game that makes or breaks Hideo Kojima post-Konami, I think. He spent a long time on it, and it's still confusing people on the daily. We don't know exactly what this game is. It's maybe kind of a stealth game, but maybe not. It's certainly bizarre looking, much more bizarre looking than even Metal Gear Survive, which injected cone zombies, I guess. But this gives us a world that's just beyond anyone's imagination, to the point where I just want to play it to find out what's going on. I imagine it's going to be fun as hell, but I want to know what's going on. Death Stranding is hitting the PS4 on November 8th. Couple of bonus games for you, including Monster Hunter World's Iceborne expansion, with a new story that picks up after the main game, and a new locale called Hoarfrost Reach. Obviously, this means a lot more monsters, and Monster Hunter World is a hell of a fun time, so I'm looking forward to it. That's hitting PS4 and Xbox One September 6th. Next is Destiny 2 Shadow Keep, the fourth expansion to Destiny 2, which will bring new content for every single aspect of the game, including new PvE locations, new PvP maps, new mainline missions, and a host of other content. That's hitting PS4, Xbox One, and Windows on September 17th. And finally, Code Vein, which is kind of an anime Dark Souls vampire-y action RPG that looks to be quite dark, but quite interesting. Code Vein is coming to Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One on September 27th. What are you most looking forward to this half of the year? Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. Click like if you enjoyed this video, and if you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter @FalconTheHero. We'll see you next time, right here on GameRanks.